Hey everyone, this is Pete Perusik, and I want to welcome you to this edition of the Weathered Athlete Podcast, a place for us to honor those athletes that refuse to go quietly into the night. As a weathering triathlete and a physical therapist, I will spend my time talking with those athletes that continue to make the necessary repairs and continue to move forward. They may have a few cracks in their foundation or a squeaky step, and their patinas may continue to fade, but they are no less glorious than years prior. In fact, I feel they have more heart and resolve as they have weathered and can provide the pathway to set the standard that we should all live by. My goal is to determine what sets these individuals apart from the rest of society. After the discussion is over, I encourage you to stick around and hear a breakdown from a physical therapist perspective of how this weathering athlete is able to keep moving forward. Don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a comment, and share with your friends. I'm honored to be joined by 73-year-old pickleball player Andy Leighton for mile number 15. For those unfamiliar with Andy, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's 10 years ago and is the leader of Andy's Army, which continues to grow and provide support for his mission of pickleball over Parkinson's. We discuss how his transition from tennis was an easy choice and how he continues to choose movement and playing pickleball to positively impact his life and disease process. He provides great insight into how pickleball challenges everything that Parkinson's is trying to take away from him. He describes the role that music plays in his life, including his time playing French horn for honor guard flights at National Airport in DC, and what it still means to him today. I guarantee his choice of exercise music will be a hit depending on your college preference. His attitude towards life and competition is inspiring and can be a lesson for anyone going through any challenges. I hope you enjoy. Hey Andy, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to join me. As a physical therapist, I'm intrigued by your journey over these past 10 years. So if you don't mind, would you be willing to let our listeners know a little bit about that story?
Sure, Pete, be happy to. Well, let's see, I'm 73 years old. I'm from Syracuse, New York. My wife and I just had our 40th anniversary. We got two wonderful sons. And exercise has played a fairly important role in my life. About 10 years ago, I got diagnosed with Parkinson's. That's changed things a bit, but it hasn't changed my interest in exercise. So all in all, played sports since I was young. Wasn't very good at them, though, until I found tennis, and that I was fairly good at tennis, but everything else I was horrible at. Okay. Last one chosen on the teams and everything. So I had to hang in there for a while.
Okay. So you've been pretty much playing tennis the whole time?
Yeah, I played tennis for, since about 10th year, sophomore year in high school. Okay. All the way through.
Okay. And then
until a couple of years ago.
Okay. And then, so when you first were diagnosed, what did you notice?
When did I notice when I was diagnosed?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. What took me to the neurologist was a little pulsing in my hand between the palm of my hand and one of the knuckles in one of my fingers, sort of on the side of my hand. And you know what? I had a feeling right away. I just looked at it and said, I bet that's Parkinson's.
Okay.
And sure enough, I went to 3 different neurologists, and they all basically said the same thing, that you've got Parkinson's, and it's a progressively degenerative neurologic disease.
Mm-hmm. So when that happened, did you know much about it?
Not at all. Not really a thing. I'd heard about it a little bit. And I know about Michael J. Fox as having it, but I've learned a lot since then.
Okay. Now, when that happened, how active were you?
I was pretty active when it happened.
Okay.
But getting that diagnosis really makes you want to be active because, as my neurologist tells me, exercise is not like medicine, it is medicine. Yeah. So if you hadn't got religion before, you surely would get it afterwards, believe me.
Yeah. So did you have any misconceptions when you started, when you first got diagnosed about your ability to actually be active?
I had a couple of misconceptions. Like I thought that I could sort of overcome it with willpower. Like one of the one of the markers of Parkinson's is tremor.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'll just grit my teeth, hold the pen a little tighter, and it'll all work out. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
This is a tough thing to beat.
Yeah. So as you started with exercise, what was it in the beginning that you did? Because I know you weren't doing pickleball the whole time, correct?
No, I wasn't. In fact, I was playing tennis. I was already playing tennis and running. So and I was doing resistance training.
Okay.
I really didn't change too much because I had a fairly good regimen going. But what happened is I switched from tennis to pickleball. And pickleball is a little more challenging than tennis.
Okay.
Do you know about pickleball?
I do, but not a lot.
Well, in a nutshell, it's a downsized tennis game. It's a cross between tennis and ping pong. It's sort of like jumping up on top of a ping pong table in real life. It's a crazy game. And what makes it different from tennis is that you're hitting a lot more shots, a lot quicker.
Okay.
You got to think faster. And it's a crazy game. It's wonderful. It's very easy to learn. Yeah. It's very difficult to master.
Okay. And so you're really not covering as much of the court, correct?
Correct. You have a little bit easier court coverage, although most tennis shots are still in play. Mm-hmm. Like when you're at the net in pickleball, somebody can lob over your head and you got to go tearing back and get it.
Okay.
So you're doing you can do some coast to coast movements from the end line back up to the non-volley zone line.
Okay. So what challenge has that played for you so far?
Pickleball requires everything that Parkinson's is trying to do to you. I mean, they're almost opposite. Yeah. For example, the 4 markers of Parkinson's are tremor, stiffness of joints, slowness of movement, and postural instability or falling.
Yeah.
So as you look at each one of those, tremor, well, in pickleball, you got to keep your paddle still to make good contact with the ball. Stiffness of joints. In pickleball, you've got to be hitting smooth shots. You can't be herky-jerky. Slowness of movement. You got to be lightning quick in pickleball. It's a game of reaction time.
Yeah.
And postural instability or falling, what can I say? You got to keep your feet. And you got to do a lot more than keeping your feet. You got to be there ahead of the ball.
Yeah. So you're somewhat anticipating, where you think that they're going to hit the ball. But again, you just don't know where it's going to go. You just got to react.
Yeah, you got to react. And you're very close to each other. Each pickleball game boils down to all 4 players. It's usually doubles. Are at the non-volley line, which is 7 feet away from the net. So you're 14 feet away from your opponent. And you're dinking the ball, hitting the ball as softly as you can, waiting for someone to elevate the ball so you can smash it. That's it.
Is that in a nutshell? That's basically what pickleball's about.
It's a lot of fun. It's great fun. The ball is a pickleball. It weighs just less than an ounce. Yeah. So you can get hit by it. And it's not like getting hit by a tennis ball.
Okay. Now, have you had any falls while playing?
0.
Good. Okay. So over the time, what are you doing outside of playing pickleball just to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, I'm doing most of the things I was doing. I'm doing running a couple times a week.
Okay.
I'm doing resistance training. My wife even got me a trainer to help with my timing.
Okay.
So I'm working on timing, strength. I do that a couple times a week. And actually, we go for walks, my wife and I. People are wondering about physical activity. There's nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned walk.
Yeah.
Although I got to admit, my running time is pretty much shot. I mean, I can remember doing a marathon. My first mile was 5:40. That was in the dark ages. Yeah. I can't remember back that far. Now I feel like I'm crawling on my hands and knees.
Yeah, but you're moving forward. That's the important part. You're doing it.
I am moving forward.
Yeah, that's great. So do you build in a lot of agility stuff too?
Yeah, actually, I'm doing agility. I've got the ladder, the little string ladder in the driveway.
Okay.
Doing the hops on that and some other things. We're doing some other agility things with my trainer.
Okay. Now, how often a week are you doing that?
That's right now it's 2 times a week for an hour.
Okay. Yeah. How has COVID obviously affected? It's affected all of us, but how's it affected you and your ability to train?
It's had a pretty big effect on pickleball because unlike tennis, pickleball is a drop-in sport where people just go to a center and meet people there. You know, as opposed to tennis, you got to book a court for an hour and a half or 2 hours. You and your three friends go if you're playing doubles. But with pickleball, it's social. You go over there, you play for 20 minutes, or you can play for 3 hours.
Okay.
And the virus has cut all that out, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
People are starting to come back and do that, but I think they're premature. I disagree with them doing that. So my wife and I only play with one other couple and at a court where there's no other people.
Okay. Yeah. Now, are you playing indoor or outdoor?
Actually, we play mostly outdoors, and now the weather is changing. My wife has a teaching affiliation with a tennis club, and we've been playing over there a bit because we go during the day. We're both retired, and we can go when there aren't too many people around.
Okay. That's good. So, as far as the pickleball court, are there more and more of them popping up? Because I don't know of many.
There are more and more of them popping up, and you can find one in your neighborhood just by going online to USAPA. That's the Pickleball Association,
Okay.
USAPA. And on there, there's places to play. You just put your state in, and it'll list all the places in your state to play.
Yeah. From what I've watched, it looks like such a great sport.
It is a hoot.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've competed nationwide. We've everything from our local neighborhood tournament, less than a mile away, to the national tournament in Indian Wells, California. And, they're both a lot of fun. You meet a lot of great people. It's just terrific.
That's awesome. Tell me about Andy's Army.
Ha! Andy's Army. Well, I got a group of followers that are following my career, and I named them Andy's Army. You might not be old enough to remember Arnold Palmer.
Yep.
But he had Arnie's Army.
Yep.
If Arnie can have his army, Andy can have his. So these are people who sort of follow my career, send me encouraging notes, and even people I've never met before, Pete. It's amazing. We were at the National Senior Games in Albuquerque. My wife was playing women's doubles. Her match ended. Her opponent shook my wife's hand, walked off the court through the crowd, and came right up to me and said, "Andy, I've heard all about you. I want to wish you the best. Can I offer you a prayer?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Absolutely, you can." And right there in that moment, she sort of grabbed a hold of me and offered me this wonderful prayer in the midst of all these folks at the National Senior Games. It was terrific.
That is awesome.
So I have a website called Pickleball Over Parkinson's, which I put a little note in from time to time to let people know how I'm doing.
I love it. I've been to that, and I think it's a great site. So how many times have you competed at the national games?
Twice.
Okay.
At the National Senior Games, and we usually do about 8 or 10 tournaments a year, but all the tournaments have pretty much been canceled. They're starting to pop up. As far as I'm concerned, they are premature.
Yeah.
They're rushing it a bit. There's no way that I'd go to a tournament right now under these conditions.
Yeah.
But as soon as there's a vaccine out, we'll get our vaccine and away we'll go.
Yeah, you have to be cautious right now. That's the last thing you do is you want to be around all those people. So I like the fact that you said you've kind of minimized what you're doing, but you're still doing it because you have to stay active. You don't want to really stop. You can't stop that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always a way to stay active. I didn't say I do rowing too. I have an erg, a rowing machine in the basement. I do 5,000 meters 3 times a week. It's about 30 minutes and change.
Okay. So what effect, since you've been doing all that, how has your Parkinson's been? Has it been under control? What's been going on with it?
Well, what's going on is playing pickleball quiets my symptom a bit, my tremor, both during the match and after the match. And I like to think that it slows the progression of the disease.
Yeah.
I can't prove anything because I don't have a twin right next to me who's not playing pickleball.
Yeah.
So this is not scientific, but it's what my neurologist tells me and what we hear at conferences, that exercise, it doesn't have to be pickleball.
Yeah.
Anything, you have to elevate your heart rate, just get significant exercise for about between 30 and 90 minutes, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think exercise is huge. And then as far as when you do these tournaments, so how many games are you typically playing, or how long does a game typically last when you play?
Well, the pickleball tournaments are 2 out of 3 games to 11, win by 2.
Okay.
And that, to me, it sounds kind of short, but they can be incredibly long because you only score points when you're serving.
Okay.
And when you get matched against an even team that's an even skill level with you, you're really going to scratch and claw all the way along.
Okay.
So an average game may be 20 minutes. And then what happens if you lose that game? Most tournaments are double elimination. You go into a consolation round where you play 1 game to 15.
Okay.
And if you keep winning your consolation round matches, you can get back and win the whole tournament. If you win the consolation round, you get another crack at the number 1 team.
Okay.
That happened to us in a regional tournament last year in South Carolina. We couldn't quite pull it off. We made it all the way back, but we couldn't get the number 1 team. But we got a silver medal, so.
Oh, that's great.
It was fabulous. Yeah, it was fabulous because we played a bunch of really hard hitters. They're called bangers. And I'm a finesse player. So I try to let the air out of the ball, so to speak. So I'm dribbling balls at people's feet, and they're trying to smash them, and it's crazy.
So how does it? And so I'm sure this is all in one day, right? You're doing this kind of back to back. I'm sure there's some break in between there, correct?
There can be.
Okay.
There doesn't have to be. You got to be on the alert. When you walk in the morning, you've got your lunch with you, your dinner with you. You got a couple changes of clothes. When they start calling your name, you got to present yourself, on the court within about 5 minutes, or you forfeit.
Okay.
I mean, and you can watch. They have a televised sort of a scoreboard where you can tell roughly when you're going to play.
Okay.
But you go all day, and then you're done.
So how many games would you say is the most you've played in a day?
Well, we probably played about seven or 8 matches. So that's, that's minimum of 14 or 15 games.
Yeah.
Plus more games if you split sets. You can play a 3-game match. So you just have to be in condition enough and have the right nutrients with you.
Yeah.
To make it through.
Yeah, because that can be a long day, especially when you're going in between and you're just kind of going nonstop pretty much all day long. So how's that affect you as the day goes on? Are you pretty good? Do you notice a difference as the day progresses?
I think everybody's play degrades a bit.
Yeah.
As the day progresses. You can't help but get a little tired.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm in pretty good shape. I mean, I've run a few marathons and so on, but like I say, that was in the dark ages, but I'm decent near the end of the day.
Yeah, that's great. So then as far as like pickleball and exercise, what role does that play in your outlook day-to-day life?
Oh, it's terrific. I mean, you meet a lot of nice folks. So we've made some new friends. In fact, a lot of new friends.
Yeah.
That we do other things with. We go out or we go over to somebody's house for dinner, so on and so forth. So it's sort of an added dimension. It's not just on the court stuff.
Yeah. And
pickleball, for some reason, is a very social sport. There's a lot of net cords, the ball hitting the net and falling over or back. Yeah. And it just ends up being funny. Yeah. And there's a lot of laughing going on. A lot of crosstalk.
That's great. How about as far as music? I know you play music. Do you still do it?
No, I don't. I used to be the musician at large over at National Airport.
Yeah.
I worked at National Airport on the staff there in human resources for almost 25 years.
Okay.
But I also started playing over at holiday time for our customers. That was back 1999. So we started then, and we played for the arrival of honor flights.
Okay.
And then my partner moved away after a year or two, and I had to go solo, which I'd never done before. But that worked out. Met a lot of honor flights, a couple hundred honor flights, in fact. And then when they weren't coming in, I just started playing for the general public.
Yeah.
And had a great time doing it. I'd still be doing it, but Parkinson's was moving the horn. I play French horn.
Okay.
And the French horn is hard enough to play when it's not moving in your hands.
Yeah.
But it was jiggling a little bit.
Yeah.
And also my embouchure, the muscles around my mouth and lips were starting to fail me a little bit in that I was losing collagen.
Okay.
And your skin tends to droop a little bit, and I lost the seal on my mouthpiece.
Okay.
So it was better that I stopped when I was doing really well, rather than have somebody listen to me and say, well, at least he's trying.
Yeah.
Nobody said that.
Yeah.
The last time I played, people were delighted. So, but I did have to stop, and I've got like 19 years of tremendous memories, a lot of Armed Forces medallions that people gave me, and just a lot of wonderful stories from members of the public. Some famous people came by. Billie Jean King was chatting me up.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And some other folks came by, but the people I liked most were the sort of run-of-the-mill, average customers just coming through.
Yeah, that was great. I thank you for sending me that article to read. That was fantastic. So as far as like music, there's always been there's been great research as far as dance or just listening to music. How has music played an effect on you right now?
Well, there are music classes for Parkinson's patients. I haven't taken advantage of those, but they're out there, just as there are a number of other exercise opportunities for Parkinson's patients. But I just love music. And so I use it when I'm training, when I'm running, when I'm on the rowing machine. On the rowing machine, I have music playing. I play the music that was the favorite genre of all my customers at the airport, and that is the college fight song. Oh, these are so cool because, when I was at the airport, I had the best time because I could read people's sweatshirts or baseball hats. And I could play the right song or the wrong song. I could pull people's chains, something terrible. We had the best time with that. But anyway.
Yeah.
So when I'm rowing, I have that on Spotify.
Okay.
But when I'm running, I just sort of play them in my mind. I have like marches are good, and there's some Beatles songs that are good.
Yeah. So
I love it.
Yeah, that's great because I think that cadence too also probably helps you when you are running.
Yeah, because I'm struggling a bit with my cadence, especially on the rowing machine. The rowing machine, I don't know too much about it. I'm sort of seat of the pants learning this, but there's a special movement that you do that I'm struggling a bit with now that I have to get some more practice on and some advice on. And I'm sure Parkinson's is a part of it.
Yeah. When you're running, how far are you running typically?
I'm only running a couple miles.
Okay.
It's basically a warm-up run to what I used to do.
Okay.
And like I said, I feel like I'm crawling on my hands and knees when I'm doing this.
And how many days a week are you doing that when you do run?
I do that, let's see, I usually do that 3 days a week.
Okay.
Doing rowing, running, resistance training, pickleball, and I don't know if there's anything else.
Okay. And then as far as like the running outdoors, how hilly is it where you are? Is it fairly flat?
It's fairly flat.
Okay.
I like flat.
Yeah.
I'm good at flat.
Then you stick with it. That's good. Have you, other than Parkinson's, any other health issues that you've had to overcome?
I've been pretty fortunate. I just had a minor, I broke my thumb a couple of Christmases ago when we were setting up for a pickleball demonstration up in Syracuse with my wife's family. There were like 30 people there. I was in the next room and I jumped over a bag and didn't see one of the loops was up in the air and I caught my foot on it. It was right at the beginning of the show we were doing, and I I couldn't bear to tell my wife, so we just did the whole show. And I said, Helen, we got to go to urgent care.
Yeah.
The people were going to lunch, and I said, look, it's my time now.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad you haven't. Now, as far as like goal setting, do you use goal setting?
Yeah, pretty much everything I do when I'm running, I'm clocking all that. When I'm rowing, I'm measuring that. I've got a rowing machine, and I told my wife a few years ago I wanted to try rowing. Let's get a machine.
Mm-hmm.
We found out they were $900, and she said, I don't want to buy that because it's going to turn into a piece of junk in the basement. And I was scared of that happening too.
Yeah.
So I found a machine, an ancient clunker that somebody gave me. I put it down in the basement, and I haven't missed a beat in about 5 years.
Great.
So I'm 3 times a week for 5 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. What other modifications have you made? Have you made any other lifestyle modifications?
Let's see, what else? In a sense, I'm trying to ignore Parkinson's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm paying attention to what the neurologist tells me and so on. But other than that, I don't want to make a modification if I can help it. Good. And I don't care if our opponents in pickleball know that I have Parkinson's or not. I have T-shirts and stuff that we made up for Andy's Army.
Nice.
That say pickleball over Parkinson's. But the bottom line, I'm not looking for any favors.
Good.
In fact, I'm going to take the medal right off your neck if you're not careful. On mine. So, what can I say? The one thing I'm sure of about the future is I'm not going to go quietly into the night.
I love it. Yes, that's it. That's why I love that. And the thing is, I'm sure they come in there, and I'm sure people think, okay, we're going to win this, and I'm sure you show them that they're not going to win. They're going to have to work for it.
Absolutely. It's funny. The other funny thing that happens is that whenever we play mixed doubles, 99% of mixed doubles is you try to avoid hitting the ball to the man. Yeah. Because the man is the stronger player. And actually, in this case, my wife is the stronger player. She's played longer than I have. Yeah. But they don't know that. And I look like a strong player. Yeah. And I'm pretty strong. But she's stronger. And it's crazy what happens. In tennis, it was the other way around. Yeah. I met my wife when she was the first girl to play on a boys' high school tennis team. Okay. And I was coaching one of the other teams. And that's how we met. Okay. Eventually we got married, played a lot of mixed doubles and so on. And I was always sort of the leader, coaching her along. And now our roles have reversed. Yeah. It's pretty annoying sometimes. but I'm trying to be a good student and say, honey, yeah. You're the coach. Yeah. What do you say? So, you're asking about measurements. Yeah. And in pickleball, pretty much every shot that I hit is going to get evaluated later. Okay. We haven't done any recording yet, but we might as well have because my wife's got a pretty good memory. Really? Yeah. There are certain shots you want to hit and others you don't want to hit. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to hear about it. That was a poor shot selection. Yeah. It's amazing with how quickly that is happening. Because I'm sure you can think about it, but it's so reflexive. I'm sure that you don't have a whole lot of time to anticipate. It doesn't matter how much or how little time, you got to choose the right shot. And that's what's so challenging about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I have to play it. I have not played it yet. Yeah, it's a blast, and you'll learn it immediately. Yeah. Even if you're a person unlike yourself who's not an athlete. Yeah. Somebody who says, "Oh, I can hardly hit a ball." Yeah. They can be coached. I've seen Helen, my wife, coach people, and within like 10 minutes, they're playing a game. Yeah. And then if you are an athlete, especially if you have any experience with tennis, ping pong, squash, or any of those sports, you're going to pick this up super fast and you're going to have a great time with it. Yeah. I love the hand-eye coordination aspect of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's such value for people, especially as they age. It's that's usually what we see a decline in is that reaction time. So I think pickleball, when you have to step, you have to move, you have to react to where the ball's coming, and hand-eye coordination. It's just there's so many great things about it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on that you gotta account for.
Yeah, yeah. Do you see as a couple things of your kind of secret to your success? Do you think?
Secret secret to my success. Well, um, I guess my secret is that I stay at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm resolute. When I was in college, I tried out for the tennis team and got cut immediately as a freshman. And 2 years later, that same coach gave me the MVP award. And I was the worst player on the team. I was the number 6 singles guy. And the number 1 through 5 guys could and did beat the crap out of me usually. But I won most of my points at number 6.
Yeah.
And hey, my points count just as much as the number 1 guys.
Yeah.
And he didn't win quite that many.
Yeah.
So, that worked out quite well. So I was resolute. I stayed with it. That's, I guess, my secret is just to hang in there.
Yeah. That's great. Do nutrition make a difference for you? Have you changed your diet?
Not too much. Because we've always had a pretty good diet.
Okay.
I can remember a long time ago, like 40 years ago, one of our cousins from Syracuse was coming to visit. And the other cousin who had just been for a visit said, "You can kiss that white bread goodbye." In other words, they're healthy eaters, you know. So we've always been pretty healthy. And when you go to tournaments, though, you take along different things, to help you through the day. Like I take along Ensure.
Yeah.
That a belt of that. It's like drinking a liquid bowling ball.
Yeah.
It's and you take along other snacks that you've learned will help you through the day. We have a pancake recipe. We take along pancakes with us that are quite good.
Okay. So if you're like for outdoor tournaments, how's weather affect you?
Good question.
Yeah.
That's why I don't play a lot of outdoor tournaments.
Okay.
You're subject to the whims of the weather. But the indoor tournaments are just terrific. We run our own tournament here in Arlington, Virginia, every fall. And we got 315 players on 20 courts.
Okay.
Throughout 2 full days. It's just fabulous.
Okay.
But as far as outdoor, we actually don't enter too many outdoor tournaments for that reason.
Yeah, because you can have to deal with the heat or, depending on cold, and I'm sure that affects you differently. And then, do they play in the rain?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, it's once the courts become unplayable, the matches are over.
Okay.
But the heat, it was hot in the National Senior Games in Albuquerque were really, really hot. And I got knocked out pretty early, but my wife did a great job in singles, and she was staggering around, but did a fabulous job in the heat.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. How about sleep? Does sleep or lack of sleep make a big difference for you?
Yeah, it does. In fact, that's one of the symptoms of Parkinson's. It interrupts your sleep patterns. Mm-hmm. And what it did to me was I get early waking syndrome where I wake up at basically 3:00 in the morning. And I've learned to manage that I've learned to get myself back to sleep. As long as I get about 6.5 or 7 hours, I'm good.
Okay. That's good. And do you notice a difference like before tournaments? Do you get nervous about these tournaments or does it phase you anymore?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, some of the players we know, some of the players we don't know, but I mean, not really.
Okay. That's good. And then do you have any special mantras that you tell yourself?
I keep telling myself to hit the right shot so I won't hurt my wife. But let me think about that. Special mantras. I guess in general, the way I look at things is that life consists more less of getting dealt the perfect hand and more of playing those cards you were dealt well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so everybody's got something they're dealing with. I'm dealing with Parkinson's, you're dealing with something else.
Yeah.
But you are dealing with something.
Yeah.
And so the deal is, what can you do to manage that condition? There are some things I have no control over, like getting Parkinson's. I wish I did.
Yeah.
But I don't. But I do have control over the speed with which the disease progresses. So I'm not just going to sit on the couch all day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get as much exercise as I can because I'm trying to outrun this thing, outlive this. And I'm doing pretty good. I've had Parkinson's 10 years,
Yeah.
and I'm still competing on a national basis. And I'm 73.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what advice do you have then for someone who has Parkinson's? What would you tell them?
You know, what I tell them is we're all in this together. Take a deep breath. You don't have to play pickleball in nationwide tournaments. You can walk around the block. You can do rock climbing, square dancing. You do any number of things and contact your local Parkinson's affiliate, and they will have programs for you in exercise and other interesting topics that will make your life a lot easier.
Yeah. So I know you did the one podcast with the APTA. What other things are you doing? And you have Andy's Army, but what other things are you doing with Parkinson's Association or locally?
Well, we do some fundraising for our local association, and then I keep in touch with folks to know what classes are being offered because I've taken physical therapy classes. You know, there's a physical therapy program designed especially for Parkinson's patients you probably know about called BIG.
Yeah.
I've taken that, and there's the other one called Loud.
Yeah.
Or keeping your voice up to 70 decibels.
Yeah.
And there's also a program that will help your handwriting.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different programs available through your local Parkinson's affiliate.
Yeah. I know there's even some boxing classes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're very popular.
Yeah.
I haven't done those yet, but I went to a demonstration and did a short version of it. And it's pretty good. It's almost like dancing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's fairly intricate footwork.
Yeah, that's why I think, again, I think you can see with the pattern, it's movement. That's the biggest thing of all, is getting movement in multi-direction, and it's such a benefit.
Yeah, it's moving across the center line of your body.
Yeah. Which
is what pickleball does when you're swinging.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of balance involved, coordination, reaction time. So, you know, it's I'm just sold on pickleball.
Yeah. So do you see yourself playing pickleball into your 80s?
Absolutely. That's my secret plan for world domination. But others have got that plan too, I notice, in these tournaments. Yeah. You're starting to see the same codgers.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm sure you've gotten to get to see the same people all the time.
Not exactly.
Okay.
In our part of the country, I do. But when we travel around, it's nice to get some fresh faces.
Yeah. Well, I think as the sport picks up popularity, I'm sure the numbers are going to increase, which only means that there's going to be more competition.
That's okay. Bring them on. Give it me.
That is great. And then, you know, I think I gave you a quote. My miles are 4. If you were to think about all the things you do, why you do it, what would you say in 1 or 2 words?
Why I do it?
Yeah.
I do it because it feels great. It's helping me live longer. And, you know, I feel like Yogi Berra, who said I have a lot of difficulty with predictions, especially about the future.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that I feel great right now.
Yeah.
And the reason that I'm feeling great right now is because of all the stuff I've done in the past that got me to this point.
Yeah.
All the conditioning and all the movement I've done.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you said you're mostly playing doubles with your wife. Are you playing doubles with other people as well?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
I had my tournament run with another woman playing mixed doubles, and I play men's doubles too. I have some
Okay.
men's doubles partners.
Okay. So
Yep.
any when you're playing doubles as opposed, as far as somebody else on the court with you, do you have issues with um kind of both going for a ball or getting hit or anything like that?
You're not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, absolutely. Well, that's why if you stroke the ball up the middle a lot of times, that causes confusion on your opponent's part.
Yeah.
So you need to be a good communicator with your partner and get some things figured out in advance, who's going to cover what.
Oh, okay.
And you can signal your partner, it's like tennis. There are signals sometimes
Okay.
where you're switching sides of the court suddenly.
Okay. Yeah, because you don't have to stay on one side, right? Or do you?
You need to start from a certain position,
Okay.
but after that, you can be anywhere.
Oh, okay. So you kind of split. I know you can't go. There's a little zone that you can't go to, correct?
Correct. There's a zone in front that you can't volley a ball from.
Okay.
You can go into that zone to get a little dink
Oh, okay.
that bounces in there. That's called the kitchen or the non-volley zone.
Okay. But other than that, everything else is in the back part of the court.
Well, it starts in the back part,
Yeah.
but every point is all about getting up to the kitchen line.
Okay.
All four players end up at the kitchen line in every point, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
That's where you want to be. If you stay back, you lose.
Okay.
Trust me on this, Pete.
I'm trying to get all this information, so when I do start playing, I'm going to be prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to let the air out of the ball, Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about just going out there and hitting it as hard as you can.
You're going to be tempted to cream it. But like one of our coaches said, when she was standing in the middle of the court, she said, when you're standing here, the harder you hit the ball, the faster you're going to lose the point.
Yeah. Wow. Because it's going to come back to you faster too, right?
Or your opponents are going to let it fly right into the chain link fence.
Oh.
You hit it too hard.
Yeah. That is great. Yeah, that's, I guess, one last question I do have as far as advice to say that someone, maybe they don't have Parkinson's, but they're in their 70s and they're saying, I can't do that. What advice do you have to them?
I'd say you don't have to do what you see one of these super athletes doing. And I'm certainly do not consider myself a super athlete.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is get up and walk around the block once. And if you can get around the block once, then get around the block twice and take it from there. Start small and work your way up. I guarantee you'll feel better and you'll probably sleep better. Good things will happen.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure you took the when Becca George did the SAFE. Did you take the SAFE exam, the Senior Athlete Fitness exam? Yeah,
every time I turn around, I see Becca with a clipboard and a squadron of graduate school students with their eyes on me. So yes, I have taken it.
Yeah, how have you done on it?
I've done great.
Yeah,
I've knocked out the balance portion, and I'm supposed to have bad balance. And I got great balance because I'm practicing balance.
Yeah. Do you practice a lot of eyes closed activities?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I practice balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're doing the standing, or at least doing static standing with eyes closed sometimes?
I'm doing standing. I'm doing walking where I lift one knee up and then take a giant step forward, lift my foot up. And then I do the same one for hips, where you're face forward, but you reach your foot behind you and loop it up to your side.
Okay.
And then take a step forward.
Okay.
I'm doing that. And, my wife and I have little contests where we just stand on one foot. It's weird. Not to say we're competitive or anything, but,
Hey, I love it though. That's good. It's kind of incorporated throughout the day is the best way to get it in because you don't think about it. You just do it.
Yeah, we're in the kitchen when we're doing this.
Well, That's great. Hey, Andy, I appreciate you just taking some time with me today.
Sure, my pleasure, Pete.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and were able to gain some insight onto how one weathering athlete approaches each day of training and racing to stay as injury-free as possible. I believe his biggest strengths are his attitude and willingness to put in the work. His use of pickleball was a great example of doing the exact opposite of what Parkinson's is trying to take away from you. There is excellent research that details how by continuing to challenge the musculoskeletal and nervous system, one can decrease the progression of the disease. In layman's terms, keep moving. His program consists of strength training, agility exercise, running, and use of rowing ergometer, which continues to provide the training necessary for his ability to play pickleball, including when he plays day-long tournaments. As a physical therapist, I love the skills that are required to play pickleball, including the need for quick reflexes and agility. I think this is a benefit for anyone as they are aging. Thank you for taking time in your busy schedule. If you find today's or any other episode inspiring, I ask you to consider to join our Patreon program. Details can be found at www.weatheredathlete.com. Also, please don't forget to hit subscribe to this podcast, share with your friends, give me a rating on iTunes. Leave me a comment or drop me a line if you feel what it takes to enter the Weathered Athlete podcast. Lastly, no matter how you complete your miles, I encourage you to use the following hashtag, #MyMilesAre4, as a way to reinforce the purpose of those miles. As always, my miles are for the journey. Pete Barusik.